Here's an interesting word indeed. So I'm, for the first time in a long time.
Jeez.
I know, right?
Hey.
Hello, wait, there we go. It is now live.
We are going live
On YouTube.
Oh, wow.
Hello, YouTube. Yeah, I mean, I thought it was, so yesterday actually, I went up in your hangout.
We're not going live. By the looks of it, I'm going live.
Yeah, it's all about you. I told you, look, I'm just the host. Hello, everybody. Hello, and welcome to another episode of the Uncovering Greatness podcast. As always, I am your co-host, Sully, and today I am joined by our lead trainer, author, business owner, Barry Mitchell.
Sully, what's up, chum?
All good in you?
Yeah, very good. Eh? Hey, I'm pretty amped today.
Mm-hmm.
Behind you.
Let's get it. Let's get it.
I'm ready. That's so
there
cool.
You go.
My third book. My third book, it's called Get Moving to Greatness.
In your second book, in how many years?
This year.
Second book. So it took you wrote your first book, Sales the
In
Lifestyle.
2016.
It took you 10 years.
Republished it at the beginning of this year.
Yeah.
Then I wrote A Salesman's Journey.
It took you 10 years.
It didn't take me 10 years.
Let's go on a journey.
I wrote Salesman's Journey. and then I wrote Get Moving to Greatness. And a quote from a wonderful mentor of mine that says, and when I first met her, she said to me, Barry, life is often like rowing or paddling through peanut butter.
Mm.
And you feel like you are pulling that oar hard, but you're just not going anywhere. And that's what business is like. And that's this book. It's called Get Moving to Greatness. It says at times it's like rowing through peanut butter. If it wasn't for people, business would be easy. And it's an inspiring story to take you and your team and your business to greatness. So yeah, those of you that have a business and have a team, and you find yourself in a place where you know there's so much more, but you're just not really getting there.
Yeah.
Or you've got to a stage where you're doing really well, but you want to know what to do to get to the next level, then yeah.
Grab it. Grab a copy.
So that's it. So I'm excited about that.
Me too. I'm selfishly excited, but you'll have to find out why I'm selfishly excited when you read the book for the first time ever. I'm in the book. Ha! Made it, baby. But the parts about me in the book are not true. Let's just be clear. None of it. It's all fiction.
Anyway, so that is exciting.
It is.
But today is
It's an interesting one. I think, so I mean, yes, we usually have stats and we talk about all those types of things, but we're not going to be doing that today because I think from our perspective, there's something a little bit more important for us to talk about. And I'm sure pretty much everybody has seen it. And if you have not, we all saw the unfortunate assassination and that's what it was, of Charlie Kirk, the founder of co-founder of Turning Point USA. And sad. It's sad because somebody got assassinated. That's never a good thing. I don't care who you are. I don't care anything about your family. It's a sad situation when somebody is murdered for their views.
Yeah, I think, it's, and I suppose it's not just about Charlie Kirk, but it was highlighted. There's a young man, I don't know, what was he, 31?
Mm.
There's a young man who's focused on working with young people, expressing his beliefs and his opinions and how he looks at life and how he lives his life, and he lives his life based on his beliefs, and that's how he lives it, and created a platform where he creates dialogue amongst people, and the opportunity to create dialogue, to talk, to discuss stuff, and created a massive movement.
Did?
A massive movement of people who came to his events and sat there and contributed, not always agreed.
No.
Not always agreed. And I personally, I really liked what Charlie Kirk did. I didn't always agree with with his opinion and what he said. In principle, I did agree with a lot of what he said, but what I loved about him is he created a platform for people to debate.
Yeah.
And very rarely did you see him tell people they were wrong. He gave his opinion, and he gave statistics, and he asked questions, and if you watch, so much of what he does is the ability to ask questions, to get in other people's worlds, to find out where they're at, and then give them a perspective or from where he's at, based on facts, based on where he sits in the world and what he's researched and what he understands, and without making them wrong. Many people made themselves wrong. They were like, oh, I didn't think of that, or and I think we're just losing that in the world today, man.
Yeah.
I've said this a lot. Everyone's allowed an opinion, but as long as your opinion is the same as mine, then we'll get on. And that's sad.
And I mean, I think it's for me, it's a crazy thing. And I'm like, why don't you go find people that have that same opinion as you and stick to your bubble, for example, if that's the way that you want to operate. If you don't believe, if somebody's opinion is so against yours, why are you trying to force yourself into that space?
But isn't that the beauty of being a human being, Sully, is that we all have minds that we can think, and we all come from different backgrounds and different different experiences, and we have hugely different levels of conditioning and how we see the world and what the world means to us. And that shapes how you think. It doesn't mean that thinking is right, because I don't know, too many people are trying to be right. And I suppose for me, why I wanted to talk about this was it goes back to the ability to effectively communicate. And I really see in the world again that this idea of right and wrong and people trying to prove that everybody else is wrong and I'm right becomes so divisive. And I first learned this concept from Buckminster Fuller, and I learned it through Robert Kiyosaki. And I've talked about it many times, and I teach it in a lot of our events. But it's the concept of two sides of a coin.
Yeah.
And if you have a coin, the concept of two sides of a coin, for most people there's two sides. Yeah. There's right and wrong. You go to school, it's right and wrong. If you get it wrong, you're stupid. If you get it right, you're smart. So there's these two sides to this coin, and what happens is if you are so intent on and focused on your side of the coin, have this huge intent to prove people wrong. Well, what happens is if a person on the other side of the coin is so intent on proving that you are wrong, you create division. Massive. And we're just creating massive division in the world because we can't sit down and understand each other's perspective. You and I won't always agree, but however, we'll sit down and try and find common ground. But there's only one way you do that. You have to go to the edge of the coin. You have to go to the edge of the coin, and you have to take someone else to the edge of the coin, so both of you can stand on the edge. It doesn't mean you have to change your belief. It doesn't mean you have to change your opinion. Yeah. What it means is you can see all sides. And when you can see all sides and you bring other people to see all sides, there's an opportunity for both of you to learn.
There is.
Both of you to learn and understand why people think the way they think, where they come from. You don't necessarily have to agree. You can hold a very strong position and find unity with other people without agreement.
And it's an interesting one for me because I'm seeing this a lot online, seeing it a lot everywhere, where it's a thing of people are saying, so it's almost like a thing of black people should be happy that Charlie Kirk was murdered because of the things that Charlie Kirk said about black people around reparations and slavery and all of that. I never agreed with any of those things that he said. I'm not going to sit here and say that I did. But for me, I kind of go, as a black person in this world, I kind of go, well, those things aside, what about the other things that he spoke about? What about those the other issues that he brought up in the world and in America?
But if you take those type of things, Sully, if you put 10 people around the table, 10 people will see things like reparations in a different light.
For sure.
There'll be slight differences of opinions, there'll be large differences of opinions. And then the fight is who's right and who's wrong, rather than how do we actually coexist, move forward, and create something that works for the majority of the people.
Yeah.
And I think sadly in the world, in a business, in my business, it's very simple. We do things the way we do things. We have a culture the way it's our culture. So when you come in, if you want to fit in here, you're going to have to agree with most of the stuff that gets done. And you're going to have to submit to the way we operate. If you are going to spend your life in our organization trying to fight back and make us wrong, you're never going to fit in. And so why would you even want to be here? Why would you even want to spend that time trying to prove to us that we're wrong about how we run our business or how we conduct ourselves, versus actually move on and go hang out with other people?
Yeah.
And I think that's that division. Rather than actually someone comes in and goes, okay, I want to understand, first of all, why you do what you do before I tell you that you're wrong. And then maybe if they spend some time understanding why we do what we do, they go, oh, wow, I never thought of it like that.
Yeah.
Oh, I never saw that perspective. Oh, I can understand that. I may not want to do it because it's not who I am, but I understand why you do it.
Yep.
Or, shit, I never thought about that. Wow, let me change my perspective on life and I shift. Those of you guys that are watching this live, hit us up with some comments, questions if you have. We'll do whatever we can to answer them. If this little discussion is making sense to you, this whole idea that the world is becoming more and more divisive because way too many times people are trying to prove they're right rather than actually find unity by connecting with each other, finding out. If I really want to find out about you, Suli, I go into your world, I go on the edge and I say, tell me about your background, tell me about where you come from, tell me about why I may not agree. I mean, you and I have been working together for nearly 12 years.
Yeah.
We've had many disagreements.
Yeah, we don't agree on everything.
I've had a number of times where I've told you your mindset sucks.
Yes.
But I've done whatever I can to try to get into your world to say, dude, come and see a different perspective. And has your perspective changed over 10 years?
Oh, yeah.
Dramatically.
Definitely. I think it's for me, I view the world differently, I view things differently. We've spoken about it before, even on this podcast, where I told you, there was a time in my life where I was very, very, very pro-black. And I couldn't get out of that mindset. But the reason why I was in that mindset, because that was what was being fed to me. But also at the same time, I was looking for those things.
Yeah.
Right? And I could not stand on the edge because it was also a thing of, I didn't want to stand on the edge. I didn't want to.
Yeah, well, you had your position, so you were going to justify your position.
100%.
And that's where a lot of people are. But that's my position. I'm going to justify it without actually going, okay, that is my position. But I'm also going to look and understand why people have a different position to me.
Yeah.
Why do we? That for me is the beauty of being a human being, is we can think.
We can.
But I don't know, most people in this world today, I don't think are thinking. They're just trying to find information to support their thoughts, to prove everybody else wrong.
If we kind of look at it as well in terms of, I don't know if you've seen the empathy quotes that Charlie Kirk had.
Oh, the one where he says he believes empathy is created.
And that's where it was ended.
Yeah.
And that's the problem, because there's more to the quote.
Well, 100%, because you have to go and understand the context of what he actually meant, and how he said it, and who he said it to, and where it was said.
But it's easier to divide, because that piece, if I'm sitting here going, empathy is made up, and that's the piece that gets put out, it's an easier way for people to divide people.
Yeah,
right?
Because now you can say, well, you didn't know what he was talking about, because of course there's empathy.
Yes.
And then you get the other side is, I don't know, I'm a psychologist, and I studied it, and he didn't, he's not even educated.
Yeah.
And so he knows nothing. You see, he's ignorant, without actually understanding the context, or without actually sitting down with him and saying, okay, explain to me, help me understand why you think that.
Yeah.
And that can go into all areas of our life.
I think it does though, right? Because we kind of sit in this position where we don't, I feel like, and now I'm going to bring it back sort of to the South African context. I feel like here we don't want to stand on the edge. It's because, and it's oof.
Well, if you do stand on the edge, you might find some shit that you don't want to find, and you may have to confront yourself with some truths that you didn't want to see true.
Yeah.
And oh goodness me, that could be quite tough. And that's
changes the game.
Well, of course.
Yeah.
Well, I mean, as we've built Uncovering Greatness, and as you've worked with me and with Nicole, and all of us have changed a lot of our perspectives.
Oh yeah.
I mean, I used to, one of my key values used to be brutal honesty.
Mm-hmm.
And I had my context around it until you and Nicole actually sat me down and said, we need to ask you the question is, do you really believe in brutal honesty? And I said, yeah. And you said, what does it mean to you? And I told you, and then you guys said, well, we've looked up brutal in the dictionary, and this is what brutal means. And I went, no, that's not who I am. So in that moment, we all went to the edge of the coin. And it seems very simple, very, I mean, arbitrary. But reality is that's a value in our business.
Yeah.
And I was able to go, geez, you guys make sense. No, that's not who I want to be. And what we did is we changed the word brutal to total.
Yes.
I could have said, stuff you guys, it's my business, I want the word, and that's what I want. And that would have been divisive.
Oh, yeah.
No, I didn't change just because.
No,
I changed because I went.
You thought about it.
I thought about
Yes.
it, and I went, that actually makes sense. No, that's not who I am. You know, whereas immediately I think many people will just go, no, but that's it. That's me, and I know, and this idea of I know becomes very divisive.
Do you think that, I mean, because we sit that word, that phrase, I guess, I know, has caused people to basically now not think even more because I know. I know.
Well, you know, there's a wonderful saying I love is you know what you know, and what you know has got you to where you are. And if you stay stuck on what you know and keep defending what you know, it's highly likely you'll stay stuck where you are.
Yeah.
It's what you don't know that will take you to where you need to go. So at some stage you have to be able to let go of what you know to open up for what you don't know. So that for me is the beauty of learning in life is what I know what I know about business. I know what I know about sales. And it comes from a certain perspective based on my 32 years of experience. The question is what don't I know? And what don't I know about what I think I know? And that's the constant ability to ask questions. And I think, you know, if you go back to Charlie Kirk and you go back to any of the great, I mean, I think Joe Rogan does it very well as well.
Yes.
You go back to, you know, I think Theo Von does it very well. You go back to any of the people that create, you know, Patrick Bet-David, he does it very well. The ability to ask questions,
Yeah.
to hold a position and say, this is how I think, this is what I think, but let's ask a whole lot of questions. And the ability to ask questions of yourself and say, oh shit, so I think like this because of this, but I never saw that perspective. So how does that change how I think?
Yeah.
How does that change my journey? Oh wow, that adds, it shifts it, it changes, it totally turns it on its head. Oh, okay, great. And you have the ability to create a new thought pattern, to create some new thinking. Otherwise you're going to stay stuck. That fixed mindset versus a growth mindset, versus the ability to actually unpack that I know what I know, and what I know has got me to where we are, but it may not get me to where I'm going. So what is it that I don't know? What is it that I don't know about what I know that will? And when you having dialogue with other people, what is it that you don't know about them? What is it you don't know about the journey they've walked? What is it you don't know about their experience? What is it that you don't know, or that you've never thought of, that makes people think the way they think that's different to you? And I just, yeah, and I'll say it, I think like school creates school becomes very divisive because school is all about right and wrong.
Yeah.
And right and wrong, you know, 1 + 1 = 2, and that's the way it is. And if somebody else has a different thought about it, we immediately told, listen to me, I know, now that's wrong, and you get naught for it.
Yeah.
Instead of, okay, yes, in the context of the world, 1 + 1 = 2,
Yes.
you are right. But how do you get someone else to think and say, okay, so how would that apply, where would that apply, and get them to change their mind to go, oh, okay, now I understand why 1 + 1 = 2. Obviously it's a very simple example, but that's life.
Yeah. I think it's easier to work with simple examples than it is to try and be highfalutin and trying to get overly smart with it.
Yeah, and therein lies the problem as well. Is I think in the world today, everyone is wanting to be so smart.
I mean, you're just seeing it now with the conspiracy theories. We just.
But it's amazing how those things come out, and they're theories.
Yeah.
They're theories. And if you go and argue against someone like that, well, I don't know, maybe they won't change their perspective.
So I actually even saw this post which made me think a little bit differently, where they said everybody's assuming that it happened because of his views. What if it was something else?
It could have been.
There's actually no proof, or evidence that says it was because.
Yes, there's no facts.
Zero facts. But the assumption is, it was because of his views.
Yeah, it was because of his views, or because of who he
the way
was,
he
or
spoke
because
and
of
the things he did.
And that's the reality. Now, so the question is you can have your opinion.
Yeah.
The question is can you deal on the facts when the facts come?
Yeah.
Or when the facts come, are you going to? And it's not just about just accepting that that's a fact or that person said it, because that's the beauty of who we are. That's the beauty of being a human being, man. God gave us such an amazing tool in our brain to be able to reason and think and weigh things up and be able to shift our opinions and shift what we understand to become bigger and better and grow. And yeah, I just think in the world today we're getting less and less. Technology is dumbing us down.
Yeah.
Technology is dumbing us down because people will go and look at, before they think, a lot of times they'll just go and Google something to support their opinion.
No, 100%. 100%.
So, and then, rather than actually saying, this is my opinion, this is how I think, and this is why I think, I'm open to shifting it if I see a different school of thought. Now, can you be open? Can you both go onto the edge of the coin, have a discussion? That discussion is through asking questions without fighting, without anything. Having a discussion to go, okay, well, we both have opposing viewpoints. However, if we're going to move forward in the world, how do we find some form of unity so that everyone can coexist in a much better place? I'll go back to that whole thing of you can have an opinion, I can have an opinion, but I think the whole world is, everyone's allowed a free opinion, but stuff you if your opinion is different to mine.
Oh yeah, big time.
Yeah,
and I mean, I think that's for me, that is, and I wanted to ask you this on the episode, because I think for me, that's probably the biggest issue that I have with this whole situation, where I'm like, I think that, obviously, yes, especially in America, people should now be very concerned about free speech and their opinions.
Yeah.
Because this is what, in my viewpoint, it's my opinion, this is what could happen to you if you have an opinion that goes against the grain.
So free speech is really interesting.
Very interesting.
I think free speech is important, but I think with free speech comes a responsibility.
Definitely.
Just because I feel something doesn't mean I should say it. Just because I feel just because I feel that you're an asshole doesn't mean I should just say you're an asshole because I'm allowed free speech. Because my responsibility is how do I communicate in a way that if I think you're being an asshole and I genuinely want you to shift to be a better person, well, if I just say what I feel, it's likelier that you're gonna come back with the same type of force.
Yeah.
Whereas if I can have open dialogue with you and sit and say, you know what, Sully, I need to, as is something with you, for example, I need to put something on the table. I need to put something on the table to you, chat, open something up. This is how I feel. I feel that, some of your actions have done this, this, and this.
Yeah.
And that will then open it up, and you may say, you may then say, you know what, is that the end of the live feed?
That was the end of the live feed.
And so you may then say, hey Barry, I never thought of it like that, I apologize, I'll try shift how I think. Or you might say, you know what Barry, that's not my intention. Or you may say, well, that's your problem. And then I go, well, how do you, and we have dialogue, and if we want to build a relationship, then somewhere the two of us have to meet and say, how do we work this out?
Yeah.
Versus stuff you, and then we create that division. And so, yes, freedom of speech is fine. I mean, South Africa is a classic example, and we've been through it this whole last year, around freedom of speech and hate speech and all that sort of stuff. And yes, some people are free to say certain things and other people are not free to say certain things because people have opinions on...
So it's not free speech, is it?
So it's not actually free speech.
It's not.
So, and the reality is sadly, if that's how you feel, with whatever you say, if it's going to hurt other people, why Why would you want to say it in a way that's going to create hurt, versus say it in a way that, the real skill for me is the ability for people to learn how to put their point across without creating conflict and confrontation. How to be able to confront an issue without conflict and confrontation. And, because for me, conflict and confrontation creates chaos, creates problems, creates division.
Massive.
But it's not about not confronting. It's about being able to confront in the right way to be able to move forward.
Would you say that it's with the right intention? So like, what is the purpose, understanding the purpose of the confront, of what you're trying to confront?
Yeah, so are you trying to confront? Yeah, so I think intention is, are you trying to confront to create the greatest good for the greatest number of people, or are you just trying to confront so that you can get your way? If you're just trying to confront to get your way, well, generally you won't give a shit about whether you are conflicting or creating confrontation, because it's about me. So stuff you and listen to me because I know. And you see that all the time. Whereas if actually the confront is about a greater good for the greatest number of people, so go back to the example of you and me. If I want to confront you or you want to confront me, and in our heart, the real step forward is we want to create something better for both of us, then you'll confront in the right way. Then you'll sit down and you'll do it in the right way and go from there. There's a wonderful book from the Arbiter Institute called The Anatomy of Peace. And in The Anatomy of Peace, the authors talk about you can go into any form of confront in two ways: with a hearted war, and you'll create war, or with a hearted peace. And with a hearted peace is I want to create a better outcome. A hearted war is I'm going in there to fight. And just be in any family. When you sit down and have a family meeting and some of the family members come in there ready to fight, it turns into frigging chaos.
Oh no, the meeting always ends horribly.
But when everyone sits down and says, okay, we all have different opinions, but our goal here is that all of us find some form of common ground so we can move forward. Then you have a heart at peace, because then you have to let go of a little bit of your opinion, and other people have to let go of their opinions so that you can find something that'll work for everybody. And I don't think people are being taught to do that. I think we're becoming lazy when it comes to communication, to effective communication. And how much does school teach you to effectively communicate?
It actually, what does school teach you about communication, right? It teaches you languages. It teaches you how to understand languages, verbs, pronouns. If
you're a recluse at school, can you pass school?
Yeah.
Yeah. You can be the top student and never friggin' speak to anyone if you just converse with the teacher, answer the questions right, study for your exams.
I knew many kids like that. It was one of those where it's like, I didn't even know this guy was in my class. Like, oh, that's great.
And he probably got 10 friggin' distinctions.
Oh no, it's
and everyone says
everybody.
He's so smart, but the reality is
he's a recluse.
Ineffective communicator.
He can't his ability to communicate.
And then, so now we go through that process, and then you end up in business, you end up in the world where you have to work with people, and we can't communicate. And so the opportunity for us to sit down and that's why I love being in Africa, because, in every event we have, there's such an array of different people from different backgrounds. And when you understand that different people come from different backgrounds, with different mindsets, with different conditioning, well, in order to move people, you got to be able to connect with them in that world to help them see the other side. Otherwise, they'll be stuck in where they're at.
Imagine how tough it would be if you couldn't stand on the edge while teaching in an event. How many people would walk out, do you think?
Oh, many. Because, well, what happens is, because then it becomes about opinions. I have some very strong views of how I see the world.
Yes.
And in a room, I have very strong views around how I see the schooling system.
Yes.
And I'm very clear on that.
Yes.
And that's my opinion, and that's my experience from school.
Yeah.
I believe the schooling system's archaic. I believe the schooling system needs to be dramatically upturned. I don't believe that the schooling system will be dramatically upturned in my lifetime at least. I believe that that this whole concept of go to school in order to study to make lots of money is defunct. And I believe that in the schooling system, if you have to go through the schooling system to become a professional person, great. But if you're not going to become a professional person, well, go to school, learn how to read, speak English. Why English? Because it's currently the universal language of business in the world. Read and do maths, basic maths. Then go out into the world and go into, I don't know, IT, sales, and business. Start creating something that the school system, and that's my opinion. Now, people listening to this,
We'll have a different
people are going to have huge opinions, and I'm pretty sure someone will, like previously, will call me a space cadet or an asshole or what, and that's okay. I don't mind. That's great. That's your opinion because that's how I see the world.
Yeah.
But rather than throwing insults at me about how I think, just go, okay, help me understand why you think, and then I would go, okay, tell me how you think. Okay, how's that been serving you, and how's that going to work for you? And at the end of the day, if we can have a civil discussion and neither of us moves our position, that's okay. We leave the meeting, agree to disagree. You don't hate me, I don't hate you. I'm not putting my pins in little Sully doll because Sully disagrees with me on school system. And we move on. Or if we create the right dialogue, both of us would have shifted our opinions a little bit.
Yeah.
Both of us, and I may come out and go, shit, I never thought of that. I can understand why you think that way. I can understand where you're at. So,
how important though is it? So let's just say in that setup, how important is it to know when to walk away? We're having a discussion. I'm trying to get you to come to the edge. I can just, okay, and let me give it context.
yeah.
I think this year has probably been one of our craziest years online, especially on Facebook, in terms of the comments we've gotten back. And you remember there was a time when I unfortunately went down the rabbit hole with somebody, and I was desperately trying to get this person to see the other side.
Yeah.
Like desperately, I really wanted to do it. And he just kept coming back with other things that had nothing. He just kept on changing the conversation.
Because that person just wanted to get their opinion across because that's all they wanted.
Yeah.
So what do? You go, thank you so much. I hear your opinion. I value your opinion. Have a nice day.
Yeah, no, eventually that, after 2 days that happened.
Yeah, because so communication, and if you go to Alan Walter's communication cycle, effective communication takes two people that are both ready and open to communicate. So in that case, that person wanted to communicate, but they weren't open to
Communicate.
dialogue coming back.
No.
In fact, what they wanted to do was communicate their own opinion and tell people, this is it, and this is what I know, and you better listen to me. Okay, great. Well, then communication is not going to be effective because that person, essentially go back to the coin, that person was not going to come to the edge of the coin.
Never.
What you did is spend some time to try to take them to the edge of the coin, see another opinion, they weren't interested. Well, at some stage you go, well, okay, great, no problem, you have a lucky day, bud, see you later, bye, I'm not going to waste my time anymore.
Yeah.
Wait, why waste your time? Whereas, who do you want to bring to the edge? People who you want to shift, change, help, grow, and that's what happens in business. I mean, how many on the edge discussions have you and I had over 10 years? Many.
So many.
Many, But our first engagement was you were the dude on Facebook that was proving that you were right.
Yes.
And I didn't call you an asshole.
No.
Well, not to your face anyway.
I appreciate that, thank you.
But you know what I mean? And I sat down with you, and this is not all about me, but my level of communication skills was probably a lot higher than yours at that stage.
Probably.
So I was like, okay, I can see huge potential in this young man.
Yeah.
But he's stuck in wherever he's stuck in, and I understand that.
I mean, even that I didn't understand.
You didn't?
We went back and forth on that. You saw potential. I was like, I don't know what you're talking about.
Yes. So I could have walked away.
Yes.
I chose not to.
Yeah.
And over 10 years, you've dramatically shifted how you think.
Yeah.
Dramatically shifted how you think. I mean, you're a very different person to who you were 10 years ago.
Insanely different.
On how you see the world,
Yeah.
on your level of enjoyment in what you do,
Yeah.
on your purpose.
Yeah.
But that's come over time.
Yeah.
But also because you eventually got to the stage where you went, oh shit, maybe, not maybe they're right, but maybe I'm wrong. Maybe the way I think is actually holding me back.
I think that was definitely what it is. It was definitely a thing of, I think something with me is not right, because it's not working.
But you're the common denominator.
100%.
At some stage, when you want to shift your opinion because you're not getting the right feedback, well, you're the common denominator. So you have to make that decision. And it's not about, I'm making Barry right, because that's where people stand as well. Oh, I better not, because if I do, then I make them right. Well, the problem is then what I'm hearing is the whole discussion was about the one person trying to be right versus...
And you take no responsibility for your part.
Yes. So in teaching and growing people, it's the openness to go, this is how I see it. How I see it.
Yes.
This is how I see it with you, Suli.
Yeah.
Based on my experience.
Yes.
Help me understand how I could see it differently. And having the openness to go, okay, I can see how you think like that. Oh shit, I didn't think about that. But for you to shift, you have to make the decision. You have to make the decision that I'm not getting one tide of life. I'm not getting where I'm at. And if I keep on this dialogue with myself about how hard done by I am and how my past has affected my life and how it's everybody else, well, it's highly likely you're going to stay stuck getting the results you have in that path. If you want to stay there, that's okay. That's your decision. It's your life. Does that make sense? But if you don't, well, you have to look around and go, okay, well, what are other things that challenge my thinking? This. Well, have I really thought about that? Well, not really. Well, what would happen if I really thought about that? That's how people change in religion.
It is.
You're an atheist. And why do people go from being an atheist to becoming a Christian? Because at some stage they get taken to the edge of the coin. They get taken to the edge of the coin and they see the other side and they go, and it has an effect on their life, and they're like, oh crap, I never was either never prepared to look at it like that, or I never thought of it like that, or it never connected with my spirit, and suddenly it's now connected. Boom, that person's now totally pivoted and moved to the other side, and they become a very strong Christian believer. And you meet them 5 years down the line and you go, but you used to hold placards around atheism. Does that make sense? And that's how we shift and move.
Yeah, I was just thinking about two things, but because you brought up religion now, I was thinking about a processing session that I had the other day, and I grew up Muslim, and when I got old enough to say it's my life and I get to do what I do, I'm done with Islam. I hate this religion, and I'm being honest here. That's really how I felt. And over the sessions I've been going through, it wasn't the religion that I hated. It was the manner in which the religion was being used.
Yeah. But can that not be taken to any area in life?
Yeah. But I needed to, it was exactly that. I was in a position of right and wrong, right?
Yeah.
The religion is wrong and I am right. And then I had to go to the edge and go, wait man, the religion is not wrong. The religion is actually a beautiful religion. It's an incredible religion around love and compassion and people and family. The way people have flipped the religion is the problem.
So I have similar context. I went to school, went to a Christian school. It was an Anglican school, and we went to church, 3-4 times a week. And this is my recollection of how I looked at it was that it was largely, for me, it was largely devoid of spirit. It was lots of follow the legalism and do this right and sing this hymn at this time and all that sort of stuff. And over, I was there for 7 years. I totally disconnected with church. When I left school, that was it. I never wanted to go back into a church. In my spirit, I always have believed. I've always believed in God.
Yes.
And then, a friend of mine, he became a born again Christian. And he kept saying to me, dude, come, I'm working with the youth, come to the youth. And I was like, chum, I told you, I don't go to church.
Yeah.
I'm not interested in going to church. No, just come and we play sport and da-da-da, we don't have to. And one Friday he said, what are you doing this evening? I said, nothing planned, until later.
It's a Friday, of course.
And he said, okay, well, we're doing some volleyball, I need some help, will you come and help me? I said, no problem, as long as I don't go into church. He said, no problem. So I went, drove there, parked in the car park. He said, how's it? He said, we're going in to do some praise and worship and things before, and then we'll see you. We'll be, about half an hour. Well, me being me and connecting with people, after 20 minutes I was sitting outside bored. I had enough cigarettes, and it was like, so I popped my head in to see what was happening, stood at the back, and, well, guess what? I met a young lady called Nicole. A year later, Nicole became my wife, and I saw a whole different perspective on church. And I've been going to church since then. Does that make sense? But I was also open and looking for different things.
Yeah, you knew that there was something missing.
Well, yes.
Yeah.
So are you open in your life? And it's not just about religion, but are you open in your life? Are you open in your business? Are you open in your relationship to go, I know that everything's not working the way it should be working.
Yeah.
I'm not getting one. Am I open to looking for new ways, looking for new things? Does that make sense?
Yeah.
And if you're in your business, and that's where a lot of people get stuck in business, a lot of people in sales. But I've been in sales for 20 years and I know how it works. I'm like, yes, you know how it works. The question is
it working?
Is it working? And what are the nuances that the little things that if you were actually open, and let go of the stuff that you think you know, what could change in your life? What could change in your business? What could change in your sales? Does that make sense?
Yeah.
And I think it's this openness. It's this openness to let go of what I know and what's right, to the openness of, okay, what is it that's holding me back? What is it? I know what I know, what's holding me back? And that for me is the journey of growth, but is this openness in your own life to go to the edge of the coin, be able to see both sides, ask yourself the question, this is where I'm at. What does the other side look like? What is it that I can't see? What are the other opinions? How do I merge them? How do I shift and change? So in your own life you can do that. With your teams in business you can do that. In your business you can do that. In your religious context or your faith context you can do that. In your marriage you can do that. I mean, if you're not married, so if you both on different sides of the coin on what you're going to do with your money, well, you're going to create divide, aren't you?
Cool.
You're going to create divide, you're going to fight about it, and you're each going to prove that you're right, because your wife's going to say yes, but I know, and you're going to say, well, I work with the company that worked with Robert Kiyosaki, and I've read Rich Dad Poor Dad, so I'm right. And she's going to say, stuff your whatever, yes, not that happens. So...
No, I'm laughing. It's not, I've never done that, but I can see it. Do you know what I mean?
Yes.
People are, I'm sorry, but people are so stupid that when you're in a right or wrong, you end up saying things. When you're in an argument with, especially with your partner,
yes,
you say things that just are not logical.
So you lose your emotional intelligence, and then you have a big argument, and you're both going to prove how you're right, and then you go look for information, then you go to tell your mates, and your mates come around for a braai, and they're trying to, and it's just a shit show.
It's all.
And does that happen in business? Does that happen in life? So what does it take? It takes both of you to go to the edge.
Yeah.
Both of you to go to the edge and say, okay, help me understand how you think. Help me understand how you think. Now let's ask the question: if we don't change this, if we don't change what we're doing with our money, what's our life going to look like in a year, 2 years' time? What's going to suck? What's our relationship going to be? It's going to be suck. Do we want that? No, we don't. Okay, good. Well, what can we do about it? What is it that we don't know? What is it that between the two of us we can unpack and figure out and find out so that we can unite in finding a change?
Yeah.
And sometimes, or a lot of times, one of the parties may have to say, you know what? Actually, what you're saying and what you understand is not what I understood. So I'm prepared to shift. And I may actually shift all the way to the other side.
Yeah.
I may actually shift all the way to the other side. and then don't get into that "I told you so," because that's the bullshit game as well. Then just get excited that the two of you are united on a common goal, on the same page. But so if you look at it all over the world, isn't that the big problem we have all over the world? That's the fight. Everyone's trying to be right.
Yeah. And I mean, that's the crazy thing for me is, you're seeing things like, oh man, and sorry, because I'm also going to reference something else, and I don't want to say her name completely because I don't know it, and I'm not going to do that.
So don't say her name at all.
Yes. The young Ukrainian lady that was unfortunately killed by us. That was mind-boggling.
Terrific, man.
And so I'm connecting those two things in terms of also what happened to Charlie Kirk, and you see people saying things like, yeah, Jesus is coming, the world is dying, all these things, right?
Maybe.
But
maybe not.
For me,
I don't know.
Do you know what I look at? The way that I'm looking at it now is the world is actually in the perfect position for a uniter. Somebody who is going to unite people and bring people together because we are people. I don't actually think it's all doom and gloom the way that people are seeing it. Because like, even when you were speaking, I was like, think about all the great uniters. The great uniters.
100%. Martin Luther King, Nelson Mandela's, Mahatma Gandhi's, JFK's.
You look at these guys, even and some people may disagree with this, but even like a Malcolm X, these guys, Donald Trump, these guys, you may disagree, you may dislike, and that's fair. But I feel like we sit in a position now where the world is ready for somebody to stand on the edge and go.
So if you look at, let's come close, let's come back to home. If you look at South Africa.
Yeah.
Okay. Whatever our opinions are on the past.
Yeah.
Would it be fair to say that in South Africa we lack brightness of future?
Very much so.
Because there's a lack of vision.
Very much.
And people largely cannot see brightness of future.
No.
Okay, good. So if we all get together and not talk about brightness of future, but practically come up with practical plans to create brightness of future in the next decade.
Yeah.
And stop fighting about what should have, could have, might have.
Who did what, who did where.
Okay, now just in this discussion, people are going to have opinions. Great. But if we all actually just come together, if we all come to, if we come together as a group of business owners in our community and say, okay guys, there's 100 business owners in our Uncovering Greatness community, for example.
Mm-hmm.
If we all come together and agree that next year our mission is to grow our businesses collectively so we employ another 1,000 people, are we going to make a change in the world?
Yes.
Okay, great. So guess what? We in our community there's different religious backgrounds, but can we unite over a common goal?
Yes.
So, but what happens is that's the division. But that's what divides us. You remember, division's also a tactic. Very powerful tactic.
Brilliant.
Divide to conquer.
Of course.
Versus unite to win.
Yeah.
And I got this from Robert Kiyosaki, and it was very profound for me. Uniters win, and winning with a group of people encompasses all the people. So everyone gets better.
Yeah.
Divide to conquer, in my mind, conquer means there was death and destruction for a group, and a group won somewhere.
Yes.
And don't we see that all the time?
Yeah.
There's lots of dividing to conquer in our country at the moment. There's lots of dividing to conquer in the world.
Yeah.
And you look at America, you look at American politics, it's so divided.
Oh, it's insanely divided. I think it's even the same here though. South African politics is
huge. South African politics has been divided for years. What one party says, the other party says different, says opposite, won't agree. Instead of saying, what's the most important thing? But does that not then come back, Suli? That when we let go of ego and ourselves, and we focus, that's why I love Buckminster, and maybe we can finish on this piece.
Yes.
When you find purpose, and Buckminster Fuller said this, he said, if you never find your purpose in life, but everything you do in your life, you do for the greatest good of the greatest number of people, then be sure you're on purpose. And has the world not come back to me? I am the one. If I'm okay, then stuff everyone else.
Yep.
And instead of can we grow? Can we create something better? And when you create something better for a collective, everyone wins. And that's standing on the edge of the coin. Standing on the edge of the coin.
Ladies and gentlemen, if you like this podcast, if you like this episode, if you don't like the episode, let us know. Let's talk. Let's have a conversation. Let's speak. And
So have some dialogue and ask questions and understand each other.
there was something that he said that really stuck with me.
Charlie Kirk.
Yeah,
Yeah.
the world is we are in a bad situation when people stop speaking.
100%.
And
Well, go back to marriage, Suli.
That's also
When you and your wife don't speak,
well,
the shit hits the fan. You
Guys.
cannot fix anything.
No.
Because she
Without
goes off to
speaking.
her BFF and tells her BFF that you're an asshole,
Yeah.
and you go off and have beers with your mate and tell your mates that your wife's a whatever, and you don't do anything until the two of you actually say, pull up 2 chairs, sit down, let's hear each other's point of view, let's talk, and let's come up with a solution that will benefit both of us, not one of us.
Yeah.
And isn't that where the world's at?
Yeah.
And that's very powerful. When we stop speaking,
Bad things happen.
yeah.
We'll see you guys
And
next week.
speaking together, not just...
Not you just speaking.
Yeah, that's the problem. People think we're speaking.
But also, which is a very important thing, and it's something Nicole brought up in one of our podcasts, is speaking to listen and understand.
And then to take action.
Yes. Not
Okay,
just speaking
because
for
we
the
have
sake
all,
of it.
we have all these big, I don't know, boss parades or what do you call them, lochatlas?
Oh, yes.
Boss parade,
Like national dialogue.
the national dialogue, whatever we call them. And people come together, and what I see a lot of times is just lots of talk.
No,
Lots of people throwing their opinions, and then
No
everyone
plan.
leaves, and it's like woohoo, and there's no action plan.
No, one person went, wait, what was the plan?
Yeah, so you've got to have an action plan that comes out, and you take that back into your business and in your marriage. You sit down and you go, right, what are we going to do today? Okay, what we're going to do today is we're going to go down to the bank, we're going to shut down our credit cards, and okay, that's the starting point.
Action.
Otherwise you'll have dialogue, and 3 months later you're still having dialogue.
Yeah.
So,
We'll see you guys next week. Don't forget to subscribe. Let's talk. See you guys next week.
is it called a lochatla?